Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, the place where we go deep in all things manifestation, soul alignment, and healing. Today's video is an exciting one because we're going into one of my favorite subjects. A few months ago, I posted a video on this subject on TikTok and I got a lot of controversial opinions, controversial thoughts about it. And it is that the key to becoming magnetic and attracting everything that you want is actually to welcome and make peace with your dark feminine energy. You heard it? The key to becoming magnetic is to welcome and make peace with your dark feminine energy. I know it's controversial, but you definitely want to know the things that I'm gonna say in this video if you want to start attracting what you want with ease. So without further ado, let's get into the video. First things first, dark feminine energy has been mislabeled, has been misunderstood, and wrongly perceived for so many years. I've said it in past videos, but the conditioning there is in our society is really making us wounded in so many levels and portraying and painting dark feminine energy as something evil, something wrong, and something bad is keeping us wounded, especially us women. Let's first get clear on what dark feminine energy is. Dark feminine energy is all the dark energies that can be possible in the 3D realm. And by dark, I mean negative energy, I mean wounded energy, I mean shadows. And so your dark feminine energy is, in other words, your shadow self, your wounded self, and all the energy you often don't want to look at, because it's not always pretty and it's not always cute. The problem with us not reclaiming and making peace with our dark feminine energy is that it's actually keeping us stuck and actually keeping us in impure energy. We often believe that dark feminine energy is something we must stay far away from because it's not good, or as some say, it's evil. But your shadow self, your wound self, all the dense energy that you can feel, the emotions that you can feel, is nothing evil. It's just a different texture of energy. And because we're running away from it, we keep it. We're fueling more of it, and we're actually building unconscious responses from that repressed energy that makes our actions, our thoughts, and our ways of being impure. And when I say impure, I mean acting out of integrity, out of alignment with what is for our highest good. So, just wanted to clear that out. Your dark feminine energy is actually a powerful one when you fully integrate it in yourself and in your life. So the first reason why welcoming and making peace with your dark feminine energy is the key to becoming magnetic. As I said earlier in this video, our dark feminine energy is the dark energy, the dense energy that we experience as humans in this realm, meaning sadness, anger, frustration, hate, all the other emotions that are uncomfortable and that we don't often want to feel because they are icky, uncomfortable, overwhelming. And I might change your life today, but the fact that you're not feeling those emotions or acting as if they are not there or not actually recognizing them doesn't make them go away, and doesn't mean that your life is all pure light and rainbows. It's actually the opposite. We are living in a realm that is attraction based, and as you've probably heard before, what you resist persists. when we choose to deny, repress, and run away from our dark feminine energy, which is our wounded self or shadow self, our behaviors, patterns, thought processes that keep us playing small. When we choose to not acknowledge that, we actually choose that. We actually choose to create that in our reality. Because again, you attract what you are. And who you are is the energy that you're emanating at every moment. And so imagine that. You don't want to feel angry, you don't want to feel frustration, you don't want to feel resentment, you don't want to feel jealousy, you don't want to feel a lot of emotions that are uncomfortable. And emotions are energy in motion. And so when we choose to not feel those emotions, to deny them and repress them, then we're pushing it back deep within ourselves. And where do you think it goes? It goes nowhere. It stays there. It stays stuck in our physical body, in our energetic body, in our mental body, in our ethereal body, in our astral body, in our aura, in our energetic field. So, as you can imagine, by repressing those emotions, we're just fueling more of that into our energetic field. And that's the energy we're carrying every day of our lives. And then we wonder why we feel stuck, why we don't seem to move forward, or why we attract exactly the thing we didn't wanted most often than not. So I might have cleared that for you today. The fact we are running away and denying and repressing and being ashamed of our dark feminine energy is actually creating more impurity in our lives. Less alignment, more incongruence, and more chaos. The other important thing to understand about your dark feminine energy is that it's actually sacred and it's actually your sacred protection. Heavy emotions like frustration, anger are not bad, and they don't make you less of a good person, less kind. To actually acknowledge them, recognize them, feel them, and express them. Of course, we can express our dark feminine energy, our wounded feminine energy in an unhealthy way that creates more chaos and that affects others and ourselves negatively. But there's also a way to actually use that energy to transmute whatever the situation we're in when we feel those emotions, to actually transmute that, process that emotion, and make it something better, make it something that helps us be empowered in our lives. This is a really hard lesson I had to learn, and I'm pretty sure you will relate with these stories. For most of my life, I only attracted abusive and toxic partners, and I will end up in really, really toxic relationships where I was abused emotionally, psychologically, and even financially. And I would be lying to you to say that I never experienced anger towards those people or in the situation I was in, or that I didn't want to actually break everything, because being in that kind of situation makes you feel so bad, so disempowered, and so lost, literally so lost. But because I was trained and conditioned to be the good girl, the people pleaser, I could not for the life of me imagine myself expressing anger or being frustrated with good reasons towards someone else or towards the person that was actually hurting me. It was not something I could actually conceptualize. And often what happens is the moment I would open the door to actually express that frustration, or the fact that I was feeling hurt, or the fact that I was feeling not valued, it would always end up against me, and I would always be the problem of the situation. And because I was conditioned to not see those emotions as sacred and actually as bad, I always run back into the good girl, kind person identity mask in order for me to seek validation. So as you can see, there was a part of me that was running and pushing me to always be the good girl, even in situations where I was feeling frustration. My automatic pattern was to act as everything was okay, or as if it didn't matter, or even in some situations to actually say sorry in situations that I didn't do anything wrong or bad, but I would do it in order to keep the peace and bring back the peace into the situation. But acting this way really hurt me in so many ways because I showed to myself that I couldn't trust myself. In the situations where I would feel disrespected and I would feel frustration in reaction to that, I couldn't handle the frustration, the anger, and I would dismiss what would happen in order for me to keep the good girl image and to actually be validated by anyone, even though they were hurting me. And I know you've probably been in that situation so many times. I know so many people that have done that so many times, and I want to bring awareness on that subject because this is hurting us as a society, as women, as divine creatrixes. You came here on earth to be empowered, to create what you want, and to be and embody your full potential. When you are acting out of alignment with what you are feeling, whatever the feeling is, you are putting a mask, you are actually not being authentic. And so you're not creating connections, you're not creating something that fulfills you, you are truly creating a gap that is wider and wider because you're running away from yourself as you run away from the feelings you're feeling. Rage, frustration, anger is sacred. It comes to you and your body reacts that way in order to inform you that there's something to acknowledge in that situation that must not be accepted. Frustration, anger are often a sign from your body letting you know that there's disrespect. And it's through the anger, through the frustration that you can actually show up and put your boundaries. That you can finally put your limit and acknowledge your limit so you can actually raise up to your potential and act in accordance with the things that are for your highest good. So I said at the beginning that I had to learn it the hard way because dismissing those emotions brought me into a really dark place after being emotionally abused, psychologically abused, and financially abused in my past relationship. And being in that darkness, I could not continue to convince myself or lie to myself that the good girl energy identity that I had created for all my life was the way for me to be empowered in my life. It was actually hurting me. So reconnecting with my dark feminine energy actually helped me rebuild my confidence, my trust, and my inner guidance in knowing my value and my worth, so I could create boundaries and have clear limits with myself, with my environment in my life, to make sure that I'm always in integrity, always in alignment with what is for my highest good. If you're not clear with that, then you continue to accept and settle for less than what you deserve. It's that simple. So dark feminine energy is a sacred protection because it's the part of you that will guide you towards the light. And I talked about it in previous videos, but your darkness is not something to be afraid of. It's actually something you should look forward to, embrace, accept, and acknowledge, because it is the bridge to your light. Your darkness is the place where you find your light. Without contrast, we wouldn't be able to distinguish between one or the other. And so darkness, shadows, wounds, although they feel uncomfortable, although they feel like they're limiting us, are actually the doorway and the pressure, the energetic pressure we need to rise up and expand our awareness, consciousness, our life. Acknowledging your dark feminine energy is accepting and loving the inner parts of you that are wounded, that you have rejected, that you have been ashamed of, that you have resented, or that have felt resentment from other people. When we see our wounds, our shadow self, as something that is bad, we are literally choosing to reject our power. Because as I said before, it's through your shadows, your wounds, and the transmutation of that energy that you actually build up your confidence, your consciousness, your awareness, your magnetism, and everything in life. There's no other way around it. The only way is true. So the belief that feeling jealous, feeling disempowered, feeling depressed, feeling sad, feeling frustrated, and feeling all the other ways we have labeled as bad, wrong, weak, then we're choosing to create more of that. After now being almost 4 years into the welcoming, embracing, accepting of my dark feminine energy, if there's one thing I've integrated and learned, is that your shadow self, your wounds, your dark feminine energy is just a part of you that is wanting and waiting to be integrated back into love and light. To quote Rumi, the wound is the place where the light enters. There is no other way around it. That's why we experience triggers. That's why we experience moments of our life where it feels like there's more darkness than usual. It's because that darkness, it's ready to be transmuted, so it come up to the surface, so we are aware of it, so that we cannot miss it. But even in those situations, we continue to run away from it. We continue to choose to not take responsibility for our power, for all our light, and keep repeating those cycles of disempowerment, of feeling like there's no way out. But we have the choice. When we are triggered, I like to see it as life literally handing me a key to open the door to the thing that I'm looking for, to the answer that I was waiting for. Because without that trigger, I wouldn't become aware of that part of me and all the story, all the historic that is keeping me small, that is keeping me wounded. And by becoming aware of that, I can actually start giving some compassion to myself. I can start giving some attention. And so that part of me can actually feel heard, seen, and understood. But without me putting awareness into that, I will just continue to put it aside. And the thing is that you cannot change the things that you are not aware of. The only way to change something is to make the unconscious conscious. So if you're wanting to actually start attracting situations, people, and circumstances that fuel more light, more love, more abundance, more expansion, more growth, more bliss into your life, we must take responsibility for what is not creating that in our life, so we can create that. Finally, accepting, embracing, and welcoming your dark feminine energy. It is really the initiation to actually give permission to yourself to be your full self. As long as you keep denying and repressing your dark feminine energy, you don't know who you are. Literally, you don't know who you are. You're just acting on programs and conditioning of what you think you should be, but you have no idea of who you are because you're closing the door to a whole part of yourself. And the fact that the dark feminine energy is mislabeled and misconceptualized makes us that we keep actually running in circles and actually creating more impure energy, more misaligned energy. It's because we are not being ourselves. And when we close that door, it means that our identity is actually based on illusions, because we're acting in the way that we think we should act, and we're doing things that we think we should do in order to gain some validation, recognition, love from the outside. But we're not being authentic with ourselves, with other people, and in our reality. We're actually creating a dynamic that is based on illusions. We're creating the illusion by not welcoming all parts of ourselves. And so again, when you shift that perspective and actually start seeing dark feminine energy as a gift, as divine protection, you stop settling for illusions. You stop settling for past conditionings that are not even from you. In order to start being magnetic, you must fuel up your tank. You must know your energy. You must expand your energy. But by keeping that door shut, there's no way you can reinforce that life force. You're actually depleting yourself. Because can you imagine all the energy that is needed by your unconscious, your body, your energetic field, to always be in constant fight to repress and push back that energy that you don't want to see, that you don't want to feel? Because again, it doesn't go away. You not feeling it, you not recognizing it, doesn't make it go away. It just means that you're pushing it down. And so that pushing of energy that you have to do every day of your life, because it's still there and it builds up and it builds up every day with any other situation that brings triggers and that you don't face, you choose to push back more. And so there's so much energy needed to actually keep it there, to actually keep it pushed back. And all that energy that is used to keep it pushed back, to keep it down, then it's not used to expand your energy, to expand your life. And often pushing that energy not only keeps you stagnant, but it keeps you depleted. Because the energy that is needed is much more bigger, wider than the energy you would need to transmute it. Your body needs so much more energy to actually forget something than actually get over something. Because even though you don't want to see it, it's still in the background, it's still in the corner of your mind, and your consciousness has to be in constant work to make sure you don't see that, to make sure you don't feel that. So as you can imagine, that is depleting in itself. So again, in order to claim back your power and become a life force full of light and fully magnetic, you must feel your feels. The only way out is through. And the last thing is that when you actually welcome and make peace with your dark feminine energy, you can actually be more soft, be more loving, be more nurturing. Because there's nothing in the background directing your moves in a way that actually builds up resentment, frustration, and anger within you. And when you are unconsciously holding to all of that, there's no space for you to actually feel love, to actually feel ease, to actually feel surrender to the flow of life. You always have to be in constant fight. And so there's no place for you to experience deep love, deep softness, deep kindness. It becomes your facade, but it actually has no depth behind. But when you embrace all of the rest, you transmute it and you actually create more space in you to actually embody the emotions of love, compassion, kindness, and you start emanating that even more. So that's what concludes this video. I hope this helped you see your dark feminine energy, your shadow self, your wounded self from a different perspective, so you can actually start welcoming those parts of you and giving them more compassion and more love, so you can actually start attracting everything that you want. Let me know in the comments below what doors open for you during the video and how your perspective changed. And also if you're excited to actually reclaim all of your power and start attracting everything that you want, because energy doesn't lie and you'll see it for yourself. Before I let you go, I just wanted to remind you that if you're ready for more expansion and want to receive even more, you can join the Divine Creatrix community. It is a Facebook group where you can find like-minded women who are also ready to reclaim their power and elevate their life. And also every Monday at 11 a.m. I'm doing a free training that will help you learn more tips, advices on manifestation, on self-healing, on soul alignment, to actually upgrade your identity and start creating your most aligned life. The lives are available here on YouTube every Monday 11 a.m. and also in the Facebook group. I would say the big difference of the Facebook group is the community and the support. So if you've been calling more expansion and growth and abundance in your life, I highly suggest you join the Facebook group. You can find all the details in the box below. Again, thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to see you next week. Bye!